Paddy Power stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC. Unlike some other high street bookies, Paddy Power, you beauty!
Hi there, welcome along to the Racing Post Postcast. We are looking at day 3 of Glorious Goodwood. Well, it's not particularly glorious. We are talking just before the start of Wednesday's meeting, and as you can see, if we just pan across there, it is absolutely chucking it down. It's blowing a gale. Women are having to hold on to their hats. Men are grimacing. Umbrellas are blowing inside out. So the going is going to be absolutely crucial. It will certainly get wetter and wetter and heavier as we go through Wednesday afternoon. And by Thursday morning, I would expect this to be soft, if not heavy. It really is horrible, unfortunately. The weather really has been bad. I'm Bruce Millington, and I'm delighted to be joined today by my Racing Post colleagues, Lee Mottershead and Stuart Riley. Plus, from Paddy Power, we've got Paul Binfield, who's got all the odds and some winners as well, no doubt. We'll start off, though, we're looking at Thursday card, and we will start off with looking at the highlight of the day and possibly the week at 3:35. It's the Qatar Nassau Stakes, an absolutely fascinating contest between some flying fillies of all ages. Winter tackles 10 furlongs for the first time. Going to be fascinating to see how she goes. She heads the market, Paul Binfield, but there is some strong competition here, isn't there? How do you bet now, Paddy Power?
Well, we're 13-8 Winter, Bruce. Then we go 5 Queen's Trust, 11-2 Somidar, 7 Neswa, 15-2 Shutter Speed. She's gone out slightly. We think there's a few doubts about her possibly running, and then it's 12 Bar.
Lee, race of the week for you?
Definitely race of the week, with the caveat that there is a chance, as Ben has just mentioned, with Shutter Speed, that we could get defections.
But even then, even if she comes out, it's still decent,
even if she,
isn't it?
even if
She's
we lose
favourite.
Yeah, and even if we lose one more, which is possible, it's still a rattling good Nassau Stakes, as good a renewal as I can remember. The question is going to be, obviously, which ones handle the ground. Winter's got some form.
And the trip, obviously.
And the trip as well. Winter's got some form on an easy surface, which is a positive. It's the first time over Marna Quarter. But plenty of these don't have form on soft ground. Sabetsu does, with a runaway win of the Prix St Ellery on soft ground. But the one I like is one that isn't guaranteed to go on the ground, but I think could be the most talented horse in the race, which is Stouty's for the Queen's Trust. Really good one of the Breeders' Cup filly mare turf last year. I thought a very eye-catching one at Royal Ascot behind the boys in the Prince of Wales Stakes. Jim Crowley, Mr. Ulysses riding for South again. For me, she sets the standard.
Oh, interesting. What about you, Stu? How are you seeing this?
I cannot see past the favourite here. I think she's home for all money. I think she'll stay, she'll handle the ground, and I just think she's different class to these, especially with the weight she's getting.
I happen to agree with you. I think she's really, it is a very strong field, but I think Winter is something special. I think she's absolutely superb, and I'm delighted to see her as big as 13-8 Binners. What about you? Are you going to take this favourite on? I mean, you won so much money on Tuesday, didn't you? Those were embarrassing. You look a bit embarrassed there. Those results on Tuesday were unbelievable. It's going to be another random one today, isn't it? Surely you're going to be able to push this out to something pretty spectacular, aren't you, by Thursday morning?
Well, actually, I think we've slightly cut her today, Bruce, but she's been awesome so far this year. I agree with Lee. I think take her on with Stouty's Queen's Trust. Ran brilliantly in the race last year, only beaten a length and a quarter by Minding, which is top class form. And as Lee said, behind Ulysses in the Prince of Wales Stakes, that's a nice piece of form, Bruce.
OK, so the boys in khaki fancy Queen's Trust and the boys in blue fancy Winter. So you take your chances there. 3 o'clock is the Richmond Stakes, and Paul Binfield, before the boys give us their opinions, how did Paddy Power bet on that one?
We can't separate Card Sharp and Headway, Bruce. 11-4 joint favourites. Then we go 4-1 US Navy Flag for Aidan O'Brien, 7 Nebo, 10 Barraquero, and it's 16 Bar.
Competitive old race, this one, Lee, and again, ground dependent as well. A lot of questions to answer. How are you seeing this?
I'm seeing this as a race in which I'll be looking at one of the less exposed horses to take on one of those with proven group form. You know, look, Card Sharp, Headway, US Navy Flag, they set a decent standard, but I just wonder if Barraquero, Brian Meehan's horse, carrying the rarely seen in big races these days, Sangster Stilts, could be an interesting runner. His trainer Brian won the race twice before, so the Richmond is a race he does target. The horse was pretty impressive at Chepstow last time. Listen, he could well come here and be outclassed by the big boys, but I think at the prices I'd be prepared to take him against the more established stars.
Lee's going for a 10-1 in Barraquero. Who are you going for, Stu?
I'm following Lee down a similar line of thought. I'm going to take on the two at the head of the market. The two that I've sided with is the Charlie Hill's horse Nebo. One on soft ground on its maiden. Disappointed at Royal Ascot, but was drawn on the wrong side there. And I mean, still wasn't beaten very far for a horse that, the way you hear Charlie talk about it, you think it was beaten out of sight. It was beaten 4 lengths or something on the day. Ran very well behind Gustav Klimt last time, beaten ahead. So yeah, I think he's improving and will like the ground. The other one I'll just give a shout to at a massive 50-1 is the Jane Chapel-Hyam horse. Really big price for a horse that actually doesn't have too much to find on form. He ran in that same race. He was only beaten 4 lengths that day. She thinks the trip was just a little bit too far for him.
Has he got a name?
Yes, Bullington Bandit is the name of the horse, and yeah, I just think at a massive price, he doesn't have too much to find on the form book.
Well, we saw plenty of big prices on Tuesday, so why not take a bit of a chance? What are you going to be doing here, Ben? Is taking on the front too?
I think so. We've got a money back special on this race, so if your horse is second, third or fourth to the SP favourite, money back. Card Shop has one on good soft ground, but so was the US Navy Flag. He was really good at the Curragh on a soft surface. He gets £3 with Card Shop for their last run in the July Stakes, so I'd take Aidan O'Brien's Raider to beat him this time.
OK, back in a mo.
Paddy's gearing up for Goodwood and Galway with this cracking horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in at least one race every day at both Glorious Goodwood and the Galway Summer Festival this week. Max £25 per race, pre-race singles only. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Right, let's look at the opener on the Thursday card at Glorious Goodwood. It's the 150 and it's the Matchbook Betting Exchange Handicap. Over 1 mile and 2 furlongs. Wide open contest. Paul Binfield, Lady Specking from Paddy Power.
Yeah, wide open this one, as you say, the first one. 11-2 Adayeb, 7 Leaders Legacy, 15-2 Eugenia, 8 King's Gift, and it's 10-1 Bar. Bruce.
I shall leave this one to you guys. Lead on Lee.
Well, when we were growing up, this was the Extel, wasn't it? The good.
It certainly was. Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah, good old Extel. I'm going for one of the horses that's more exposed this time, King's Gift. Representing the North, Michael Dodds, Paul Mulrennan. Started the season with Connections having very high aspirations for him, classic aspirations for him. That proved to be a wish too far, but down in handicap class, he ran well at York last time over 1 mile. I think he'll thrive over 1.25 miles, and I think he'll probably set a bigger price than he should do because he's not from a sexy yard. He's not really got sexy form figures.
OK. Stu, sexy yard, sexy form figures or unsexy?
I don't have particularly sexy form figures for the horse I fancy. Grey Britain, he's been one of those. He has won in his last few starts, but he's also been completely out the frame. Grey Britain is John Ryan, Gerald Mosse, I guess, is a bit of a sexy name coming over from France for a ride in a handicap here. Yeah, I like the horse, was 5th in a listed race last time, steps down into handicap company. They use front running tactics again there. I'd like to see that in place again here. And he's one of those horses, he's on a workable mark. He turns up at these meetings, runs his race, and yeah, I think he'll be thereabouts. I like to think that Paddy Power themselves quite like this horse because they're about half the price as everyone else. You can get a fair each way price about him, so he's the one I'll be backing.
OK, certainly Grey Britain today. I think tomorrow it's looking like it's going to be brighter but very windy apparently. So again, punters really set some difficult tasks with the going. Paul Binfield, who's going to win this one?
I've got some sexy form figures with this one. Bruce M&M, very consistent horse, beating a fag paper at Epsom on his penultimate start, and then last time ran a great race behind Defoe. So hopefully he can do the business for Simon Dow.
OK, that bit of name dropping here. I played golf with Harry Herbert on Monday, who obviously runs the Highclere horses, and he said they have high hopes for Archetype in this race. So there you go, there's a little tip there.
How'd you get on?
I did right actually, yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I was pleased with my form. My sectionals were spectacular because I was hopeless early on. You played as well, Stu, didn't you?
Yeah, I was even worse than you, much worse.
Well, plenty were worse than me for once. Right, 225 then, it's the Markel Insurance Fillies Stakes, which we used to know as
the Lily Langtry.
The Lily Langtry, indeed. 1 mile 6. That will take some getting on this rain-softened ground. And the boys in blue dominate the market here, don't they, Paul?
They do. We've got 4 places in this one, Bruce, and we're also going to have 4 extra places at Galway this day and 5 in the Galway Hurdle, just for a bit of advertising. We are free endless time, 4 melodic motions, 6 natural scenery, 8 Alyssa, and it's 9 to 1 bar.
Go on then, Paul, we'll stick with you. Who's going to win?
I think I'm going to go for natural scenery. Won't mind a bit of cut in the ground. Caught a bit of a tartar last time in the Northumberland Plate at Newcastle behind Higher Power.
Okay, natural scenery. There's plenty of natural scenery here, Stu, isn't it? It's one of the most beautiful spots in the world when these bloody clouds disappear. Who's going to win it, Stu?
I'm going for Michael Stout's Dubka. The logic here is that this is a Group 3. Aidan O'Brien has a runner in the race that's won its last 2 starts. Ryan Moore is not riding for Aidan O'Brien. Ryan Moore is riding for Sir Michael Stout. He's on Dubka. It's a bigger price than the O'Brien horse, and yet Ryan Moore has got off his boss's horse to ride for his old boss. That tells me something, so I'm going to back that at 14 to 1 each way with sponsors are the best price. So.
And you get an extra place as well. Okay, good suss there, Stu. What about you, Lee?
My bet of the week
Aye.
is Dubka.
Wow,
Yeah.
copycat.
Yeah, no, exactly the point Stu's made. Ryan's riding this filly, not the Ballydor horse. She's a Dubawi. Her best form comes on soft ground. She was second in the Aphrodite on soft ground 2 starts ago. She's won on an easy surface. She's a bit in and out. She's not always the most consistent, and she was beaten at Goodwood, well beaten early in the season, but just looks to me like a filly that Stout was really mapped out for this race, and Ryan's booking is significant. The more this rain falls, the better a chance will be for me. Dubka, major say.
Wow, good stuff. Okay, let's look at the rest of the Goodwood card.
Paddy's gearing up for Goodwood and Galway with this cracking horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite in at least 1 race every day at both Glorious Goodwood and the Galway Summer Festival this week. Max £25 per race, pre-race singles only. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Right, chaps, 3 more races conclude the Thursday card at Glorious Goodwood. Pretty difficult stuff. I'm just going to throw it open and you can take it in turns to tell me which horses you fancy. You might fancy none, in which case that's fine. We've got some Justin O'Hanlon Galway stuff for you as well. But first we'll go through the rest of the Goodwood card. Lee, who should people be backing in the latter races?
It's very obvious, but Poetic Steps in the nursery. Mark Johnson in a Goodwood nursery is always a good place to start, often complicated by the fact he runs 3 or 4 in the races. But Poetic Steps, unbeaten, has won on this sort of ground. And although it's not a tip, just to note that in the maiden, the 6th race on the card, Magical, Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien will start long odds on, a race to watch, but she's a sister to Rhododendron, who won the race last year.
Okay, don't forget the postcast rule, Lee. We have to say the race times as well, because not everyone knows when the maiden is. Good man. Okay, Stewie.
I actually like another Mark Johnson horse in the first race that Lee mentioned there, the 4:10. I was looking through the jockey bookings, trying to work out which one may be the first choice. You look, Joe Fanning rides for him a lot, but Silvestre de Souza, of the 3 jockeys booked, has the best strike rate for him. He also can do the lightest weight, but he's on the heaviest. He's the highest weighted horse in the race. Starlight Mystery had some sexy form figures, has kind of gone off the boil a bit. It doesn't worry me with the Mark Johnson horse. They do that, and they come straight back into form. So that would be the one for me, Starlight Mystery.
He approaches these like a detective, doesn't he, Stu? He sort of rules things out and looks for clues. Very good. Anything else we should be backing, Paul, on this card?
I'm going to take these 2 lads on in the 4:10, the nursery, with Bilston Brook. Very consistent horse. Will go on the ground and was only just touched off in a listed race last time, Bruce, and might just have a bit too much class for them.
Excellent stuff. Okay, well, before the guys give us their naps, here's Justin O'Hanlon talking about the best bets on the Galway card even on Thursday.
Ladies' Day, 8 races on the card, an absolute cracking card on Thursday, which features the Galway Hurdle at 4:35. But there's plenty of interest in other races as well, not least in the 2:15, which is a novice chase, which has been upgraded to Grade 3 level. Willie Mullins has a strong hand here with Rathvinden coming back from 3 miles, and Townsend, the top weight, who's a fairly short price favourite, Petty Power this morning at about 15 to 8. But he's a small horse. He jumps well, but he has to give weight away all round in that. He'll do well to do so, in my opinion. The 3:25 is the listed Corrib Filly Stakes. Huge field to go to post here comparatively, with 16 plus 3 reserves, which might suggest that there's no star among them, but it probably suggests that there's not a lot between any of the 16 really, and that appears to be the case. I think the key piece of form here is the Killarney listed race a couple of weeks ago, where Drumfad Bay beat Music Box. Music Box, whatever you can say about her, and plenty of things have been said about her. She does appear to up her game when she races in better company. And over this 7 furlongs, I think she can possibly overturn tables on Drumfat Bay from Killarney when Music Box didn't get home over the mile quite as well as Drumfat Bay did. This has dropped back to 7. I don't think she'll mind a bit of softer ground, which could be on the cards. I think Music Box could be the bet in that 3:25 race. There's a fascinating clash as well in the novice hurdle at 4 o'clock. Lac Kivu, who looked potentially a really good horse when he won at Punchestown earlier in the summer, takes on Bhutan of Joseph O'Brien's. Bhutan, who was a winner on the flat for Aidan O'Brien, didn't jump at all well, to be honest, on his second run of hurdles at Tipperary last month, but he won with such ease on that occasion despite his jumping. If his jumping has improved at all, he's going to give Lac Kivu a lot to think about in that 4 o'clock race. But the other bet of the day does unsurprisingly come in the 4:35, the Guinness Galway Hurdle, and he's been virtually ignored as a 20-to-1 shot in this race and is one of the JP multitude in this contest. But it's the Tony Martin trained Thomas Edison, a previous winner of this race in 2014. The last time he ran this race, he looked like winning when he fell at the last in the race won by his stable companion Quick Jack. Was off the track for a while, but I thought he ran a really eye-catching return to action in the Grimes Hurdle at Tipperary last month when he finished 4th. Davy Russell's been booked to ride at about 20-to-1, and he's actually a few pounds lower than when he fell in the race a couple of years ago. I think he rates a serious each-way bet, and I do fancy him very strongly to win that race.
OK, chaps, let's get the best bets on day 3 of Glorious Goodwood. Lee Mottershead, take us away.
I am Dubka in the Lily Langtree.
What time?
The Lily Langtree is at 2:25.
Stuart Riley.
Winter, you'll never be able to back her at this price ever again.
In the
3:35?
Well done. And Paul Binfield.
Queen's Trust in the same race, the 3:35, to get the better of the favourite Winter.
OK, I'm going to throw my weight behind Stu. I think Winter's a really nice price. I know it's a hot race, but she really does look special. So thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes. We are back tomorrow looking at the Friday card at Glorious Goodwood.
Paddy Power stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC. Unlike some other high street bookies, Paddy Power, you beauty!